So, the race to build bigger, smarter, more powerful AI is absolutely on fire right now. But there's this one company, Anthropic, that's kind of taking a step back and asking a really different question. They're asking, how do we make sure this stuff isn't just powerful, but also safe? Their entire mission is built around this idea of making AI that is both helpful and harmless. And that, right there, is the million-dollar question. I mean, it's one thing to teach an AI how to, say, write code or crunch massive amounts of data. That's complicated, for sure. But how in the world do you teach a machine right from wrong? How do you actually build ethics into its core programming? It's a huge puzzle, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack today. All right, so here's the game plan for this explainer. We're going to kick things off with their founding mission. Then we'll get into the real heart of it, their AI constitution. After that, we'll check out their other safety measures, and we'll wrap up by seeing how they grade it out on their latest report card. Okay, first up, their mission. To really get what Anthropic is all about, you gotta go back to the very beginning. They weren't just trying to build another cool AI. They were aiming for something fundamentally different, something better. Yeah, so these guys, the company was literally founded by researchers who were already experts in AI safety. For them, safety wasn't some feature to be tacked on at the end. No way. It was the whole reason for starting the company. From the get-go, their number one goal was to create AI that's reliable, easy to understand, and, this is the big one, harmless. This whole idea of ethics and safety, it's not just marketing talk. It's in their DNA. All right, this brings us to their really big idea. I mean, this is the thing that truly makes Anthropic different. Think about it. If you want to teach an AI about ethics, you can't just wing it. You need a rule book, right? Well, for Anthropic, that rule book is literally a constitution. And they call it, appropriately enough, constitutional AI, or CAI for short. And what's so cool about this is how it flips the script on training. See, instead of needing an army of people to sit there and constantly correct the AI, CAI uses a really clever AI-driven feedback loop. It basically teaches the AI to align itself with these ethical principles. In this slide really breaks down the difference. So, the old way, the traditional method, is called RLAIF. That's reinforcement learning from human feedback. It's kind of like training a dog, right? You're constantly giving it feedback, telling it good boy or bad boy. It works, but man, it's slow. It's expensive. And let's be honest, humans aren't always consistent. Anthropic's method is RLAIF, reinforcement learning from AI feedback. They basically built an AI to be the trainer, and that changes everything. It's scalable, it's way more consistent, and it automates the whole alignment process. So you're probably wondering, how does this actually work in practice? Well, it's basically a four-step loop. Step 1, you give the AI its constitution. Think of it like its prime directive, its set of rules to live by. Step 2, the model generates an answer to something, and then, this is the cool part, it critiques its own answer based on that constitution. Step 3, based on that critique, it rewrites the response to make it better. And then finally, step 4, a different AI model comes in, looks at the options, and picks the one that follows the constitution the best. Boom, that reinforces the good behavior. It's literally like teaching the AI to be its own internal ethics coach. And this really gets to the heart of it. The whole point of CAI is to make models that are helpful, harmless, and honest, but, and this is the key, without needing a human to look over its shoulder every second of the day. That reliance on constant human supervision is a massive bottleneck for AI safety, and this is their way around it. Okay, so constitutional AI is obviously the star of the show, but it's not the only tool in their toolkit. There's more to the story. Let's take a look at the other layers of safety they have in place. They've got a whole suite of these things. For transparency, they have something called chain of thought outputs, which basically lets you see the AI's step-by-step reasoning. Super useful. They also work hard to make the models neutral, to separate fact from opinion. Then there's red teaming. That's where they actively try to break the AI, throwing harmful prompts at it just to see if the safety fences hold up. And maybe most importantly for a lot of people, they have a rock-solid policy of not training their models on your data. That is a huge deal for privacy. And this commitment to safety isn't just a nice-sounding mission statement on their website. It's actually baked into the legal structure of the company. Anthropic is a public benefit corporation, a PBC. What that means is they are legally required to balance making money for their investors with doing good for the public. Safety isn't just a goal, it's their legal duty.
And this all gets written down and formalized in an official document. Their governance framework is called the Responsible Scaling Policy, and it's basically the playbook for how they plan to develop more and more powerful AI without, breaking the world.
So that all sounds great on paper, right? But how is Anthropic actually doing in the real world? How does it stack up against everyone else? Well, let's take a look at their report card, courtesy of the Summer 2025 AI Safety Index. And their overall grade was a C+. Now, I know what you're thinking. C+? That doesn't sound amazing. But here's the wild part. That was the best grade given to any of the companies they assessed. Let that sink in. The best in the class got a C+. If that doesn't tell you how insanely hard this AI safety problem is, I don't know what will.
So if we break that grade down, you can see where they're strong and where they have work to do. They got an A in governance and accountability. That makes sense given their PBC structure. They were considered a leader in risk assessment, which is great. But then you see existential safety, and they got a D. That's the big picture, long-term stuff, and their report basically said, hey, we need you to be a lot more open about how you're handling this.
Let's just zoom in on that for a second. That leader status and risk assessment, that's because they were the only company that actually ran biorisk trials with real human participants. That's a huge step. The A in governance, again, that's because people see their PBC structure as a real binding commitment. But that D in existential safety, well, it shows that even if your heart is in the right place, the expert community still wants to see the receipts. They want more transparency on how you're planning for the really long-term risks. Which really brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. Anthropic is showing us that it's possible to build an AI that follows a constitution. That's a massive breakthrough, but it leaves this huge challenge on the table for you, for me, for all of us. Who gets to write that constitution? Who decides what rules an AI should follow? That's the real puzzle we have to solve.